Greetings summoners and welcome back to Lots of Lore. Today I give you the new Star Guardian short story, The Twilight Star, by Ariel Lawrence. Enjoy. I have too many questions I want to ask her. I sneak a side glance as we walk. She's looking straight ahead. I watch her gaze sweep back and forth across the far perimeter of the park, her red hair catching the last scrape of the afternoon light with each step. Does she see something? Is this the way she normally patrols? Is she bored? Why is she here? I can't believe she wanted to come. Why did she come? I quicken my pace to keep up. Fortune, Sarah, I say, remembering. She doesn't look away from the path ahead, so I keep going. Thanks for coming. I know this was a kinda last minute ask. Lulu draws some weird stuff sometimes. A lot of time actually. And the other Star Guardians from your team? Really does have detention locks, she says. Oh, I stammer. It's cool. I can feel the pink in my cheeks. I tug at the tip of my gloves. She turns to look at me, a smug grin softening her face. He wanted to be here, she says. Soraka too, but Pantheon's was short-staffed. And tonight is Syndra's astronomy class at the university. And Ari? I blurt out too quickly. Sarah's smile tightens. She's been busy. No worries, I say, looking for a way to change the subject. In the middle of the park, Janet pushes Poppy and a freeloading Jinx on a squeaky merry-go-round. Lulu swings idly in a close-by swing set. Its metal chains clang softly like lonely wind chimes. There's no one else in the park beside us. It's pretty quiet. Like you said, it's probably nothing, she says casually. I take the folded slip of paper out of my pocket. The frayed edge where I torn it out of Lulu's notebook flutters in the breeze. The shape of the playground equipment and the power lines surrounding Valorant City's Metro Park were clear enough. But it was the dozen circle in the skies that worried me. Poppy said it was too warm in physics class, and Lulu was just doodling to stay awake. Look! Lulu shouted from the swing, snapping me out of my thoughts. She's at the top of the swing's arc, gesturing excitedly at the horizon. A bright spot has risen over the silhouette of the skyline. Twilight Star! I saw it first! I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. It's just a star. Stars can't hurt us. The Twilight Star is not a real star, Poppy groans. Technically, it's a planet. Janet says everything has starlight in it, Lulu argues back. Janet nods her head in agreement. What are you gonna wish for, Loops? Jinx juggles Shiro and Kuro absently as the merry-go-round spins. Lulu plumps her leg on the swing, pushing it higher. More stars, she shouts. I want to see more stars. But it's not dark yet, Jinx says. The other stars aren't out yet. Doesn't matter. Lulu plumps her legs harder. The other stars are always there, no matter what, even if we can't see them. Rocket Breath is right, Poppy says, hitting her reluctant agreement with Jinx by examining a non-existent scarf on her hammer. It needs to get really dark before you can see the stars in the city. It's not like at the camp. I cup my hands together and shout back at them, You're all right! Jinx opened her mouth to argue, but shrugs and takes the win. I turn back to Sarah. Are they always like this? She asks. I'm sure she's thinking about us compared to her own team. How this kind of talk would never happen if they were only them. They would just get right down to business, search the park and be done. I can't tell if she's disappointed or annoyed, or both. You mean, are they always this argumentative? I offer. No, I mean, well, yes, sometimes. This innocent, she says quietly. Well, you have Ari to lead you. Of course you always know what you're doing. Us, well, all they've had is me. Innocent isn't always a bad thing. She has that faraway look on her face again, like she's trying to remember a dream she had a long time ago. She nods her head slowly, as if agreeing on the memory. Yes, that is who you remind me of. Me? Remind you of Ari? I ask, trying desperately not to sound desperate. Does she really think I'm like Ari? Which part? Maybe a younger Ari? I mean, she should know. She's Ari's lieutenant. Did Ari have multiple lieutenants on her old team? Maybe if our teams joined, can I be another one? Like Sarah? No. Sarah lets out a sharp laugh. I don't know if she can read minds, but my hopes deflate like an untied balloon. Someone else. You remind me of someone else, she says, softening. Someone I lost a long time ago. She had pink hair too. She looks me over again, and I try not to squirm under the scrutiny. Come to think of it, you are also too loyal for your own good. And such a dreamer. You're kinda a mix of all of them, she says. Them? The team you lost? Is this a bad thing? Who were they? I add 10 more questions I want to ask her to the list running constantly in my head. Lux, Sarah, look! Lulu yells happily, interrupting my thoughts before I can get any further. My wish! We look back at the distant playground. I run through a quick check. Lulu, Jinx, Poppy, Jana, still safe and sound. The twilight has softened all of them, making them seem younger than they really are. The steel lamps in the park click on in an unsettling coincidence. Hovering above the team are a swarm of twinkling lights. The team looks like they're caught in a magical dream. Loops, it's like shortstop said, it's not dark enough. The crackling of the merry-go-round slows to a stop, as Jana, Poppy and Jinx look up as well. It's getting darker fast. Too fast. I can barely see the trees around the edge of the park. Sarah and I start walking back towards the playground more quickly. Those aren't stars, Sarah says. I squint to get a better look. The point of light wavers, almost glistening. As we get closer, I can see what Sarah means. Dozens of translucent spheres reflect the light of the street lamps. Bubbles. They were bubbles. I stuff Lulu's drawing into the cuff of my glove. I don't think Twilight Star heard you right, Lulu, Poppy says. Those are bubbles. They aren't just bubbles. One of them floats down towards Poppy, almost as if it was following the sound of her voice. Poppy steps back, letting it drift towards the metal railing of the merry-go-round. The hushed silence was interrupted by a snort laugh from Jinx. Come on, they're harmless! A trail of bubbles begin to close in on her. I reach my wand as I start running. Jinx! I throw the staff out ahead of me, and a prismatic rainbow of starlight just grazed the top of Jinx's pigtails before returning to my hand. A sphere of multicolored light covers Jinx and Poppy. A few bubbles bounce off the barrier and pops against the swing set, leaving behind a swirl of dark mist, fluttering black shapes. Bugs perhaps, or moths. And a long, high-pitched laugh like the delighted crackle of a child. That can't be good, right? Jinx whisper yells. Let's pop these bad boys. My thoughts exactly. A double shot of Sarah's twin pistols fires before she can finish her sentence. A wave of bubbles pop in a shower of black haze and twisted butterflies. What's inside doesn't look great either, Poppy says. Don't let them touch you. Jana's eyes glow lavender. A breeze picks up in the park as she begins to rise off the ground. The air current gathers fallen leaves as it begins to draw the bubbles together. Jana corrals them and the darkness they contain into a dense pack, each of them pushing against each other, almost as if they were annoyed at being restrained. The high-pitched laugh stops short and is quickly replaced by an annoyed groan. The noise echoes around us, setting my teeth on edge. In the center of the pack of toxic bubbles that Jana gathered, a thin circle takes shape. The circle opens into a portal, letting long tendril snake out from some dark dimension. One unsettling squid eye opens, followed by a second. The gelatinous blob unfolds into some cross between an evil octopus and demonic jellyfish. Take it down! Sarah yells. Shiro and Kuro fire eagerly. Poppy twists around, pulling her hammer back for a long arcing hit. She growls through the effort as the hammer swings around. In a resounding smack, it connects with the bubble mass, knocking the now angry and disoriented jellyfish out of the center. The malcontent blob drifts for a moment, but collects itself and the scattered bubble pack. They move purposefully towards Sarah. "Sarah, get down!" I yell. I can feel the heavy power of pure starlight channeling through my staff, vibrating the bones in my fingers and arm. The creature darts around, hiding behind bubbles. I fire in a beam of white hot light. The little jellyfish slips between the bubbles and I miss. I try to get closer, but it feels like time is standing still. "Loops, no!" Jinx yells. It's too late. From out of nowhere, a tiny Lulu pushes Sarah out of the way. Sarah lands hard but rolls onto her back, both barrels blasting above her. One bubble escaped the pack above. It floats down, straining to get closer. It breaks against Lulu's cheek in a wet pop. The darkness seeps out, expanding, and in the space of 2 heartbeats, Lulu is enveloped by an inky cloud. Her eyes close as she crumbles to the ground in a small heap. I dive for Lulu, scooping her up in my arms. More bubbles pop above me as Sarah and Jinx finish off the last of them. A portal opens above the dark jellyfish. The maniacal laughter gets louder, and the little beast floats towards the opening, almost as if it was buoyed by the sound. As it crosses the portal's threshold, it disappears, taking the remaining of dark magic with it. I bring my ear down to Lulu's face. She's breathing, slow and even. Is she asleep? "Lulu!" I shake her by the shoulders. Lulu lets out a soft moan and her eyes flutter for a second. I bring my wand up. The brightness is near blinding. Lulu's closed eyes flinch. "Lulu, by starlight, wake up!" Lost. They were lost. Lulu's voice is barely a whisper. Her eyes close tighter against the light, and her lip quiver. It's as if she's stuck in a nightmare. "Dark now," she says. Lulu sits bolt upright, her blue eyes wide open now. She looks past us all, like we're not even there, like she's seeing through us to somewhere else, like she's somewhere else. "She's on her way," Lulu says. She? Who, Lulu? Who's on their way? This is big. One blaring thought shot out all the others in my brain. Could it be her? Is Ari on her way? I bite my lip. I look around at Jana, Poppy, Jinx, and finally Sarah. Ari, I say. Ari will know. No, Sarah says. Of course she will. I push off her muted reply, trying to keep a smile of optimism for the others. Can you call her, Sarah? I can't. Sarah won't look at me. Wait, why? We're not talking right now, she says quietly. Sarah, I think this is more important than the slumber party, Sarah interrupts, looking me straight in the eye. That night, she was supposed to come. At the last minute she said there was something she had to take care of, something she wouldn't let me help with. I thought she was just being... Ari. I finish as she nods her head in confirmation. You haven't seen her since? Sarah shakes her head. No. Tightening her grip on the pair of pistols in her lap. Just before Sarah looks away, I see it. A flicker of panic. I can feel my heart thump harder in my chest. 100 more questions flood my brain. My stomach tightened. What could make Sarah panic like this? Where did Ari go? What's coming? Are we strong enough to face it? Am I strong enough? I want to ask her, but I can't. And that's the end of The Twilight Star by Ariel Lawrence. This story refers to another Star Guardian story, The Slumber Party. It is clear to see the bubbles within this story is Zoe's sleepy bubble trouble, her E. This story leads up to another Star Guardian story. Where did Ari go? Well, we know for this year's Star Guardian trailer, Ari went to search for Nico. And she finds Nico in the end of the trailer, after Zoe has tampered with Nico's mind. But maybe we'll get another Star Guardian story very soon. This has been Lots of Lore, and until next time, Enjoy.